Hello, my friends. I'm a little bit late. Normally, I immediately do the Parsha after Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, but this time I was out of the country. I was in Ireland and not feeling quite well. And since I wasn't going to be able to give you the best of me, I decided I would wait until I can. Because Parashat Shoftim is extremely important. And the reason it's so important, and I suppose I do say this every week, that this is so important, because in reality, what we're talking about when we talk about Torah is continual learning, continual process, continual understanding, continual renewal, because from one week to the next, from one day to the next, from 1 month to the next, you really don't remember. You just don't remember. And unless you're sitting and studying Torah every single day of your life, and you're like me, where you have dedicated days and dedicated time and dedicated hours, you don't know the real detail of a portion. So every week we have the opportunity to go and do this again, to speak of it again, and to evaluate again what is it that Torah talks about. And at the beginning of our Parsha, there is a command. It's not, go ahead and do that. But this is a command to appoint judges, Shoftim, and police officers, Shotrim, for yourself. Now, what is it that we mean by that? Well, it's exactly what is said. The wonderful thing, the extraordinary thing about Torah is you wouldn't think that at the time of Torah, Hashem would be talking about judges and he would be talking about police. And why would that be necessary at the time of Torah? But when Hashem gave the Torah, He knew us. He knew what would be important for us. He knew what we would need as everyday people to guide us, to help us, and to keep us on the straight path. And the Midrash stresses the need for both of these roles. Without the policeman, there is no judge. For if the court finds a person guilty once he leaves the courtroom, the judge is powerless unless the policeman takes control. How can you imagine? This is the Midrash speaking. It could simply be judges, but without the policeman, there is no judge. And this is very, very interesting, because we have a judge. We have who is going to take our actions and judge them. So, to me, and what it makes me think of is Hashem is the judge. Hashem is the one who ultimately decides for us what is appropriate, what did we do that is right, what did we do that is wrong, how did we behave ourselves in certain situations, and what decisions did we make. And it may very well be that the police, which are our humans, some have uniform and others don't, but once and for all, it is for sure that we, in our judgments, are definitely faulty. You can have a friend, and you can do everything for this friend, and you can really put yourself out there, and you can really believe in your mind that you're doing everything in the right way, and your intention, your kavanah, is 100% in place. But that person may judge what you do and what you say in a completely different way. Only Hashem judges in the real way. So in truth, policemen are secondary assistants to the judges. And only in a case where the judge is incapable of enforcing justice must one resort to the policemen, who work with the stick and with the whip, forcing the guilty party to accept the judge's decision. Well, we don't work with sticks and whips, but yes, we do. And today our whips look different and our sticks look different, but the police is certainly enforcing the law, not the law of Hashem, but the law of God. And the Rebbe says here in the Sicha of Shabbos Parashat Shoftim 57:51, however, since all aspects of Torah are eternal, there will be a role for police even after the redemption. Only then it will be a positive one, to announce and make public the affairs of the judges and to assist the people in fulfilling the directives of the courts. You know what? I'm thinking about judges and judgment and bribery and what goes on in our world today with the police and with the people who are lawmakers, and how we overlook Hashem's law for the sake of the law of, quote unquote, the land. A person cannot evaluate. He needs help in decision making. He needs another opinion. He needs another viewpoint. He needs someone to help him. That's why the Rebbe said, go find yourself a Rav. Go find yourself a Mashpia. Find yourself someone whom you trust, whose judgment you trust, and who will then guide you. But if you don't believe in the decision of the judge or in the judgment of the judge, where do you go from there? The Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, the evil inclination is no more than, for example, a judge or advocate who offers his legal opinion, but nevertheless it is challenged by a second judge, which is the godly soul. The final verdict follows the ultimate arbitrator, God himself, who assists the good inclination by means of a godly revelation to the godly soul, so that it may gain the upper hand. Isn't that what I just said in the beautiful words of the Alter Rebbe? Ultimately, we think that we are judging people that we know, people that we work with, people that we fire for a job that they didn't do well according to our specifications. People that we think are doing bad things. We don't judge them properly. And maybe we do. And maybe in that judgment, Hashem has given us that piece of the godly soul, strengthen it, and said, go for the gold, go for the justice, go for the integrity, go for what you believe in, go what is in your mind, Hashem's way, L'shem Shamayim, in the name of heaven. A few weeks ago, one of my students said to me, well, how do I know if this is what I am supposed to do? And I said, in Torah is written, what is the most difficult thing for you to do? Where you have the greatest hardships? What is seemingly impossible for you to achieve? What demands the absolute most of you? What eats you up alive if you don't have it and you hunger for it? And when you know that that is not about your ego, but that is about L'shem Shamayim, you want it for the greatness of Hashem. You feel that it's Hashem's gift that has absolutely done and given you and made everything possible for you, then you know, you absolutely and totally are aware, that you must listen to Hashem, and you must listen to that godly spark inside of you. It is fundamentally a decree of God. If it's rational or if it's supra-rational. You're not the judge. You're not the one who says, oh well, that, I don't understand it, so therefore it can't possibly be that way. I can do that. You're judging God's commandments. God gave 613 commandments. Some are quote unquote rational, some are super rational, and it's not up to you to decide, to judge, to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner of Hashem's commandments. If Hashem says that that is the way it is, and that is the way you need to do it, and that is the way you need to behave yourself, and Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha is what it means to observe Torah, then that is Hashem's judgment, not yours. And if tznius is Hashem's judgment, it's his and not yours. And if kashrut is Hashem's desire, and that's what he wants, and that's what he commands, and that's what he will have, then that is not up to you to judge. Nobody's taking you to court because you need to keep kosher, and no judge is going to tell you, well, you're going to go to jail if you don't keep kosher. That's not what we're talking about. But what I am talking about is the judges and the judgment of the judges are all bound by the judge of judges. We're in a period of time when the king is in the field. Hashem is here. He's waiting for us to come. We talked about this last week. In this parsha, Hashem commands you should appoint yourself a king when you come into the land God, your God, is giving you, and you take possession of it and you settle in it. You will say, I will set a king over myself like all the nations around me. Hashem knows how we are. What do I need a king for? I have a king. My king is the King of Kings. Why do I need a king on earth? But since we are surrounded by so much, and we are influenced by so much, so Hashem gives us in the second reading of the Torah of Parashat Shoftim, and he says you should always set a king over you, one whom God, your God, chooses. Now, this is really, really, really difficult. because how do we know for sure whom God chooses? The Rebbe, in Likutei Sichot, volume 19, page 165, he says, the king is the heart. He mentions this, actually it's the Rambam, the Law of Kings. The king is the heart of the entire congregation of Israel, says the Rambam, says the Rebbe. The heart has no role unto itself, and it merely serves the rest of the body. It moves constantly as its entire purpose is the service of the other limbs. In contrast, the brain is distant from the rest of the body. It is the coordinator of all the energetic activity which occurs in the body, but it itself remains somewhat aloof. Therefore, it does not move like the body, illustrating its quality of aloofness. For this reason, the Rebbe says, a king is compared specifically to the heart, since he is totally devoted to the people and involved in their needs. Do we have anything like that on earth? Does anyone fit this description? Does anyone compare to a King David, to a King Solomon? Do we have anything today that we can say a king is compared specifically to the heart, since he's totally devoted to the people and involved in their needs? You know what? No. But yes. Because if we have our king, if we have our king, and that king is the one who judges in the land, who makes the decisions in the land, who protects the land, whose eyes are always upon the land. Who is that king? There is only one such king. That is the King of Kings. And that is the one that you have to ultimately accept. Just as you accept upon yourself his laws, his rational and super-rational commandments, so you also accept upon yourself his kingship. There is so much in this parsha prohibition against fortune-telling. When you come to the land your God is giving you, you must not learn to do the abominable practices of those nations, there must not be found anyone among you who practices stick divination, acts on the basis of fortuitous times, divines on the basis of strange occurrences, practices sorcery, divines with animals, turns to the sorcery of or Yidoni, rises, raises, and consults with spirits of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to God, and it is because of these abominations that God, your God, is driving out these nations before you. Do not probe into the future, but be simple-hearted with God, your God. How many of us, including me, have gone to have tarot read? How many people are looking to have answers of what is going to be, how is it going to be, how can they manage this, maybe there is something in the cards. Abomination. Horoscopes. Abomination. However, if you go to have evil eye taken away from a Rav, by a Rav, or a Rebbitzin, who understand and who know the prayers, the correct ones, to do that, it is permissible. There is a whole conversation of who is a true prophet and who is a false prophet, and what is true prophecy and what is false prophecy. And Torah teaches the ultimate purpose of existence. Prophecy is a means to an end to encourage people to observe Torah. The Torah is constantly evolving and expanding through the innovative Torah ideas of the Jewish people. However, a prophet may not make any innovations of his own in the prophecy he receives. Exactly the same way as Moshe Rabbeinu did not change, did not use his own interpretation as to the whole book of Devarim. It's all in Moshe's words. It's all spoken by Moshe, but he did not add and he did not subtract anything that was given in the Torah. There are no amendments. However, a prophet may not make any innovations of his own in the prophecy that he receives. So is written in the laws of foundations of the Torah. However, prophecy is superior to Torah in that the Torah is inherently an incomprehensible godly wisdom, although it has been expressed in human terms. A prophet speaks to the people in a language to which they directly relate, so its immediate impact is greater. What a Torah scholar perceives in the spiritual realm through the Torah will not necessarily materialize in the physical world. However, what a prophet predicts will definitely come true in the literal sense. This is based on Likutei Sichos, page 19, volume 19, page 182, volume 34, page 11, and in the short Ma'amarim of the Alter Rebbe on page 355. And the reason I quote all these conversations and cite all these citations is because I want you to be sure that nothing that you're getting from me comes from a place of ego or interpretation, that everything that I bring to you and everything that I'm learning is directly Torah and directly what the sages and what the prophets and what my Rebbe, our Rebbe, the world's rabbinic opinions have spoken. One more thing. The Torah considers false testimony to be a heinous crime because God refers to the Jewish people as my witnesses. Isaiah 43:10, indicating that the very existence of the Jewish people testifies to the existence of God. As the Talmud explains, the name of heaven should become loved through you. People will say, so-and-so studied Torah, and look how fine are his ways, how correct his deeds are. Mishnah Yoma 86b. By hearing false witness, the person therefore contravenes the purpose of his existence. Likutei Sichot, volume 27, page 258. What is a false witness? Anything that you say that comes out of your mouth which is not true, which is not according to Hashem's desire, which is not, and you know it, all right? It's not that you're bearing false witness because you don't know it. Because we said before, Hashem gives you the power of choice and He gives you the power of knowing the difference between one and the other, and he fortifies the good. And you choose the bad. Torah talks about making a peaceful proposal. If you approach a city to wage a non-obligatory war against it, you should first make a peaceful proposal. God of peace. There are enemies in the world, of course, and there will always be. And there are enemies amongst people, and enemies in families, and enemies and very, very, very difficult situations that we face with our friends, with our neighbors. The first thing we need to do, and the first thing that Hashem wants from us, is consistently be favorable and try with everything that you know to make it work. When you realize that there is nothing that you can do and you get nothing but negative response, then you should and you must respond. There's a very, very interesting conversation in this particular portion, which is the 7th reading. And it says, you should not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. You may eat from them, but you may not cut them down. For why should you need to destroy it? Is the tree of the field a man, that you should include it in the siege and destroy it? However, if you know it is a type of tree which is not a fruit tree, you may destroy it by cutting it down. Use it to build a barricade against the city that is waging war against you until it is conquered. But do not cut down a fruit tree. A tree, the tree of life, that bears fruit, is nothing less than the man. A man is a tree that bears fruit. Don't cut him down. Let him live. Let him bear fruit. Make a proposal for peace. But be sure to only take those trees that are not bearing fruit. Listen, Torah is just totally unbelievable and totally incredibly powerful, and it has today the same exact and powerful message for us in our time as it had in the time of our forefathers, in the time of our sages, in the time of our prophets, and in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. Our people have a book of life. A book of life that will never not be valid. That will never be outdated. That will never be wrong. It will always guide us right. So follow the judge, because the judge will judge correctly, appropriately, and only with love, and only with what is the best for you. Have a wonderful week. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will talk Motzei Shabbos. Shalom.